What in the catch? Fam, I hope you guys are doing phenomenal tonight, man. Hope everyone out there has had a great Monday. Hope you guys have had a great start to the week. Week 8 of the NFL season is wrapped up. We are moving faster than ever into week 9 of the season. Monday Night Football wrapping up. Raiders at the Lions. Pretty much all Lions throughout this game. I mean, the Raiders didn't even have a completed pass to a wide receiver in the first half. Lions looking dominant. And week 9 is underway. So you guys know what we're here for tonight. Fantasy Q&A. Anything that you guys need. Starts, sits, adds, drops. Who are you eyeing on the waiver wire, which is a little bit lackluster as we move into the week, but there are some options. On top of that, let me know how week 8 went for everybody. This is kind of that point in the fantasy season where things are kind of starting to progress pretty rapidly in terms of, are you going to make the fantasy playoffs or are you not going to be in the fantasy playoffs? So whatever you guys need, I'm here for you guys. Let's try to head into week 9 in the best fashion possible. We got some good matchups this week. Got a couple of teams on bye: the Broncos, the Lions, the Jaguars, and the San Francisco 49ers. So a couple of teams that are actually going to definitely impact fantasy rosters, maybe outside of the Broncos and Cortland Sutton, maybe Javonte Williams. But yeah, I mean, Jaguars, Lions, Niners, pretty big teams there. So a couple teams on bye, but not as bad as what we saw in week 7. Nonetheless, guys, if you guys are new to the channel, hope you guys enjoyed the stream. Be sure to subscribe on the way in. Guys, hit the like for me on the way in. And other than that, most importantly, as always, get in the live chat. Let me know what you guys need. Any fantasy football questions? We're going to have some fun tonight. We're going to talk some fantasy football. All right, just a random kid. What's going on? Walketeers, what's up? What's up? David, I lost. I'm now 6-2 because of Pollard. Yeah, I mean, literally, there are like people out there asking if we can drop Tony Pollard at this point. And I mean, I don't know if I want to go that far, but I mean, based on his draft capital, it's just been a rough. I mean, quite frankly, most early round running backs have been really bad so far this year. So it's just part of it, man. But I would not get rid of Pollard if you're a Pollard owner, but it's been tough. Ghost Hunter, what's good, my guy? Would you trade Gibbs for Bijan? This is interesting. Yeah, I mean, another week of Bijan Robinson not being, I mean, just having a low ceiling. I mean, he found the end zone, 62 yards on the ground. So 12 fantasy points, much better than the week before with the headache debacle. I mean, still a top 15 running back in fantasy football. But the interesting thing with Gibbs, who now has 27 or more points in his last 2 games, it's the Chargers in week 10, a pretty good matchup, bye week in week 9, like we already discussed, and 2 really solid matchups against Chicago and Green Bay in weeks 11 and week 12. Is David Montgomery is going to be back in the mix at some point? I mean, probably sooner rather than later. I mean, there's a chance that Montgomery suited up tonight, but he did not. So, heading into the bye week, like we might see Monty back in week 10. And what does that really mean for Jahmyr Gibbs's overall volume? I mean, at this point, they've got him like ramped up and going. So I would be surprised if Gibbs didn't continue to get touches, but like there's no way Monty's not also going to get touches. But with that being said, I mean, Craig Reynolds was pretty involved tonight and Gibbs was still able to do his thing. So I don't know. I mean, Reynolds still had 74 yards on the ground and 14 touches and 1 reception. So I mean, if we kind of look at things here, I mean, that still led to Gibbs getting 26 touches, 5 targets, 5 receptions, but also the game script really helped the Lions run attack tonight, right? But yeah, I mean, Monty was getting a pretty heavy share of touches, 16 or more touches in all the games except for week 6 when he got hurt, and a ceiling of 32 touches against Green Bay. But once again, that game was just pure game script. I mean, like they were dominating the Packers. So Uh, this is a tough one. This is a tough one because Bijan, for some reason, still has competition for touches as well. So I mean, like, um, I don't quite know if I would do it. I mean, the upside play for now is Gibbs, but like I said, I think that the volume will take a little bit of a hit, and I still believe in Bijan heavily. I mean, I still like Gibbs. Don't get me wrong. I wasn't ever low on Gibbs this season, but it's tough. I do think the better offense lies with the Lions, and that might be something important moving forward. So, chat, let me know what you guys think of this one. Gibbs or Bijan? Which side do you guys like? Potential for Devontae tonight was just awful. I mean, like, I was, I've always rooted for Jimmy G, but watching this game tonight, I was like, man, I just don't think it's there. You know, I just don't think this experiment, whether it's Jimmy Garoppolo, whether it's Josh McDaniels, like this Raiders team needs to move on. I mean, like Max Crosby, top 5 defensive player in the league, probably. Like, I mean, making plays all over the place tonight, but this offense has some good pieces, but man, they're just not there. I mean, Jacoby Myers, nothing tonight. Adams, nothing tonight. Good opportunity for Michael Mayer, nothing tonight. Jacobs found the end zone, but yeah, just a tough game. What's wrong with Devontae? Should I trade him? Do you think Monty will still be good when he comes back? Yeah, I mean, problem with Devontae is not Devontae Adams. It's what we just talked about. Jimmy Garoppolo, this offense. And you watch this game, like it's all there. I mean, quarterback play was kind of my concern when it came to Devontae Adams coming into the season. Was his ceiling was going to be capped throughout the year because of the potential for poor quarterback play, and that was something that we saw tonight. So, that's the issue there. It's not a good time to trade him though, because you're trading him for scraps. I'm not a fan of selling a player low when they're coming off a bad game. Like, you might as well hold on to him unless the name value pushes hit, a good trade through and a package. But yeah, I wouldn't trade him at the moment. He's coming off a 2-point performance, right? Monty will be fine. Yes. I mean, whether it's Monty and Gibbs both splitting that volume, or we see this, volume go back to how it was before Gibbs is kind of coming on, Monty's going to be fine either way. My heart is shattered. Jimmy's a bum. Yeah. How do you think Hawkinson and Pollard do going forward? Yeah. So, we didn't really do a recap of the week or anything, but man, a lot went down this week, and I'm really, really sad about the Vikings offense, because Captain Kirko, one of my favorite quarterbacks, uh, gonna miss a year, tore his Achilles. I mean, you guys already know this, but um, man, this Vikings offense is gonna be really, really tough to monitor. But I would not panic yet. Like, they still have a great play caller as their head coach, Kevin O'Connell. It's kind of like we just talked about with Devontae Adams. Like, the quarterback play is really going to merit what the upside of Hawkinson, Addison, maybe JJ at this point. Now, I'm very concerned about Justin Jefferson potentially coming back or not coming back. So, who's going to play quarterback for the Vikings? I mean, I don't know. Like, are they going to? I mean, the trade deadline is still active. Like, are they going to go out and trade for someone? Are they going to roll with Jaron Hall? I don't know, man. It just stinks. Like, Kirk Cousins, QB6 in fantasy. Addison was looking great. JJ was right around the corner. This team still got a victory. They're right in the playoff hunt. I mean, Addison's a wide receiver 7 in fantasy. T-Hawks, the tight end 3, just had 20 points against Green Bay. Not necessarily a difficult schedule coming up. Atlanta, New Orleans, Denver, Chicago before the bye. Just a huge, huge, huge bummer. So, I mean, for me, that's the biggest. I know there are other injuries, but that was the biggest one. The other big moment for fantasy football this past weekend to me was Will Levis just absolutely blowing my mind and looking phenomenal against the Falcons. But getting back to the question here, I think Hawkinson, due to volume alone, will be okay. but I do think his ceiling is capped. But we just have to see. I mean, like we just talked about Will Levis. Like, I mean, you just never know what you're going to get in a backup quarterback. Might be just fine for a couple. I mean, the verdict's still out on Will Levis, but for now, it looks perfectly fine. Or it could be a complete disaster, or it could just be mediocre, you know? But we do know that this is a pass heavy offense, a good scheme. But a panic level is there for the Vikings players. Pollard is really kind of a huge question mark to me because, like, I mean, it's not like this offense is playing that bad, and quite frankly, it's not like Pollard's having an awful season or anything. I mean, he's had 3 games where he hasn't hit double digits. He's a top 20 running back. It's just where you drafted him and the hopes that you had for him were much higher. With Zeke out of the picture, and it's almost like with Zeke on the field, he was playing better, and I think he'll be okay. I mean, this is a tough matchup this week against Philadelphia. When he gets the Giants, the Panthers, and Washington, before a little bit of a tough stretch of Seattle and Philly in weeks 13 and 14. Then he gets Buffalo, Miami before ending the season with a tough matchup against Detroit. So I think Pollard will be okay. Like I said, there's only 3 games this year where he hasn't given you double digits. So I'm not as worried about Tony Pollard as some people might be. But yeah, you drafted him to be your RB1. He's kind of closer to RB2 territory. What's up, J-Dubs? Devontae shares in the toilet. Yes, they are. Indeed. Logan, Dallas defense for week 9 versus Philly. No, I'm not starting any defenses versus Philly. I'm not. I mean, I don't know. Like, Dallas's defense is one of those defenses you can always throw out there and, like, they can do something. They're the defense one in fantasy. They had 14 points against the Rams, but they're at Philly. I don't want to start them against Philly. So I would rather start a different team that's out there. Gibbs looking good. What's outlook on Monty when he gets back? Will be 50-50. Probably differ from game to game. Probably be times where it's closer to 50-50, times where it's closer to 60-40. But it's going to really depend on the game script and like how. I mean, Gibbs, I still think will be that kind of change of pace player. But I mean, yeah, he looked fantastic tonight. Looked really good last week. I still think Monty's going to be okay, but yeah, it's going to depend game to game. I don't think it'll really on a weekly basis be too close to 50-50. I think it'll be a little bit split due to game flow. What are you doing with Sanders? Jeez. So happy I have no Miles Sanders shares. I'll just put it that way. Yeah, I mean, we're at that point in the season, guys. Like, if you have a losing record, if you are on the cusp of the playoffs and you own a player like Miles Sanders, you can move on. Got Hopkins and Levis off the waiver wire. Do you think I should start Levis at Superflex, Pollard, or Higgins? I mean, I say you always start the quarterback in the Superflex. On the road this week against the Steelers, so I don't love that. The Steelers have been pretty good against the quarterback position. Like, listen, Will Levis, phenomenal performance yesterday, but it's still a small sample size, so I'm a little bit hesitant overall. But yeah, in a super flex format, that is a place to play him. I feel most comfortable throwing him out there. Brand new Lions. Let's go, Cats. Dallas Goedert or Dalton Kincaid. You can't really go wrong here. I think the upside play is still Kincaid. Great game for him this past week. It's a competitive game here. Bills Bengals. It's 2 teams. I mean, the Bengals at home here. It's gonna be a good game. So I might go with him. But once again, Philly and Dallas, probably another really good game. I think you go with the upside here. Go Kincaid, but Goddard's been fine. J-Dub says he's dropping Miles Sanders. I mean, yeah, you get a goose egg like that. I'd rather own Chuba Hubbard right now. What's the biggest trade you can see happening tomorrow? Oh, geez. I mean, I really I don't feel like there's going to be a lot of big trades. I mean, apparently there was a trade between the Ravens and Titans that was finalized, and the Titans owner vetoed it for Derrick Henry going to the Ravens, which would have been just bonkers. But I don't really blame him after they lost A.J. Brown, and A.J. Brown's been on an incredible pace this year and helped the Eagles make the Super Bowl last year and was phenomenal last year. So I just feel like we're going to be pretty disappointed and nothing really exciting is going to happen. Is my honest opinion. Kyle's 8-0. Let's go. Just traded Bourne for Jay Williams on Saturday. Nice. Yeah. I mean, definitely sucks for the other fantasy manager, but it does always feel good when you trade a player and gets hurt. But I mean, sucks to see Kendrick Bourne go down. But as long as it's Javonte Williams, right? Eckler's back. Yep. Just had to bounce back from the injury. Great game for him, though. Thanks for all the advice. Gone 3-0 this week for the first time this year. Let's go, baby. 6-2, 5-3, 4-4. Good places to be. Selling Gibbs high or nah? Well, for me, you guys know my boring answer is you can always sell a player for the right value, right? For the right price. It just depends on what offers you get. But with how, how few running backs are out there right now, how, poor the position looks overall, how many injuries we've seen, I'm probably not selling Gibbs. But like I said, for the right price, yeah. But man, it's been a rough year for running backs. Albert, how are you, my guy? If you're locked for the playoffs, you're willing to give up for JJ. I don't really know right now. I'm a little bit hesitant. I mean, the volume's going to be there if JJ comes back, but I don't know what the quarterback play is going to be like. So before this past Sunday, I was all in on trading for JJ at the right value and encouraging guys to not sell JJ. But I mean, you just can't predict injuries like this shaping the season. So I don't know, Derek. I don't know if I really want to trade for him at the moment. What are we doing with Vikings players? Yeah, so I guess we kind of already touched on this. But I think you just hold, like, they're probably going to see lower ceilings, but I just don't know if you're going to get the right value for them. Like, if you sell them low right now and this offense does take a big enough hit that their production's going down, well, I don't think you're losing too much value in another week or so if you try and sell them low at that point. And if the offense looks really good, well, then you can decide to hold on to them or sell them a bit higher. So just tough. I mean, I know like Hawkinson, Addison coming off really good games, so it's tempting to sell them quote unquote high right now, but I don't think you necessarily are because of the situation at quarterback. People are still eyeing them as like lower value assets than what they truly are. So I'm not really making any moves right now. I mean, at the right price, maybe, of course. 4-4. Got Mahomes, Hall, Eckler, Chase, Adams, Cup, Laporta. Bills defense. My bench is Burrow, Schultz, Devonta, Godwin, Monty, Hawks defense, Shaheed. Who should I start for next week? I mean, this is tough because like you have a lot of those names like Adams, Cup, that just really, really difficult players to bench. But like Godwin coming off a great game, Devonta Smith coming off a good game, like guys that can always be in your starting lineup. Godwin is at the Texans next week, so I don't necessarily hate him. Devonta Smith always plays well against Washington. He's been hard to trust. He gets the Cowboys this week. Devontae Adams, I mean, he gets the Giants. Like if you start Adams next week and he can't get it done against the Giants with Jimmy G or Hoyer or O'Connell, I don't care who it is, and I don't know what to say about Adams' season anymore. Cup, on the other hand, I think you have to keep in your lineup. It is a tough matchup for Cup. The Packers have been very good against opposing wide receivers, but for the most part, I'd probably stick with your starting lineup how it is. If you want to swap one of those guys out for Devonta Smith, maybe Godwin, I don't necessarily hate it. And I know Shaheed, like here's the problem with Shaheed, who does have a good matchup against the Bears, is Shaheed is still what he is, even coming off of a 3-touchdown performance. Like he's still that guy who's going to have 6 points one week, maybe 30 points the next week, then 9 points, then like 14 points, then like 33 points. It's like he's still a boomer bust. Flex play and to predict which weeks he's going to go off is going to be really difficult to do. I talked about Rashid Shaheed a ton coming into the season. He was one of my favorite late round targets, but man, it's just tough to start him over these players that give you really good consistency and really safe floors. So a lot of good options. Team looks very solid though. So and I might start the Seahawks defense. Oh, I don't know. They got the Ravens on the road. Shoot, I would probably stream a defense as opposed to starting the Bills or the Hawks. Kincaid or Ferguson? Kincaid. Yeah. Kincaid. Thoughts on Jay Cook, 4-4. Thoughts on JJ lacking a wide receiver. If you're lacking, you can go out and get JJ. Like, I don't really have a problem with that. But like I said, just be careful because I think that ceiling could be capped. I think people really underestimate how good of a quarterback Kirk Cousins is. Like, I when you look at his average, completion percentage, passing yards, passing touchdowns since like 2018. I mean, like, he's as good as, I don't want to say as anyone in the league, but he's been a very, very reliable, very, very productive, very, very good quarterback, both in real life and in fantasy football. So, and a great chemistry with JJ as well, which is just really tough. Cook, I think, is like fine, but he's still just a RB2, like, just because of his usage within this offense. This has always been the problem with Buffalo. Now they have playoff Lenny coming in, which I'm not too concerned about, but he'll be somewhat of a factor. Damian Harris has still been dealing with that neck injury, so I think it's really more to replace that depth. But I mean, Cook is a top 15 running back, but just due to his usage in this offense, he's down to RB2 level. So it just depends on your roster. Like, if you're trying to make a move here for a potential wide receiver, he might be deployable. Chase, what's up, dude? Monty or Mostert rest of the season? That is so tough. So tough because Monty, you got Gibbs looming. Mostert, you got Devontae Shane looming. Both offenses great. Both offenses like to run the football. I might go. Oh my! I mean, literally, like, this might be like the closest comparison of two players possible. So whoever you like better. I mean, literally, I think both these guys are right neck and neck, but maybe Monty's more injury prone. It's super close. Good to see you, Chase. J-Dubs likes Monty. I was kind of leaning Monty because we know what this Lions offense is going to do. And the Dolphins are going to have weeks where they throw the football. The thing even with Devontae Shane coming back is, like, Mostert was still getting a lot of goal line usage. So lost Cousins in a 16-man. Going to try to pick up Levis, Ritter, Heineke. Levis might be your superhero this year, but yeah, that stinks in a 16-man league. This league is so weird. The lowest scoring team is about to be 6-2, and the 4th, 10th highest scoring team is 1-7. Jeez. Anyways, Christian Watson droppable. I don't want to. I really don't want to drop Christian Watson, but it really depends on your entire roster. But I mean, the problem is if you drop Watson, somebody will pick him up right away. Been a really frustrating year to own Christian Watson between the injuries, the lack of production, the offense as a whole. A weird schedule coming up: the Rams, Pittsburgh, Chargers, Detroit, Kansas City. Like, you have some decent matchups in there, but you also have some games that just feel like they could be, I don't know, not great. I don't want to say he's droppable. I don't know if I'm quite there, but it might be close. It depends on how badly you need the running backs. Sea-Dog, I was tied going into tonight 1-1 with Laporta out, scoring Adams and Jacobs. Nice. I sat Mahomes in the last minute after I found out he was sick, played Tua. Nice. Good move. Thinking about sitting DK from now on, but I don't know if I can bring myself to it. Yeah, tough to bench a guy like DK. And DK has been a little bit banged up. He was also sick. It's that time of year. A lot of these players are sick, traveling a lot, adjusting to weather. I mean, for being sick, having 11.7 points, not too bad. But yeah, the ceiling low for Metcalf. A couple tough matchups coming up. We just get Washington in week 10, which Gives you something to look forward to. Tough. I mean, perfectly fine player to throw in as your wide receiver 2 on a weekly basis. Mike, you lost by 0.44. Dang. I've been there, man. It doesn't feel good. Doesn't feel good. Manuel, 6-2. Let's go. Master Franklin lost by 6. Oh, no. Dropping to 3-5 with 2 with Chase, St. Brown, Walker, Hunt, Laporta, Thielen, Monty, and Pickens on the bench. Number 2 in points for, number 1 in points against. It happens, man. It happens. I have one league where I think my team is really, really good, and I've won. Actually, I don't know if I won this week, so I might have won 2 games now. But going into the week, I've only won 1 game, and I have the most points scored against me by far. And it just happens, man. It happens, unfortunately. But your team looks really solid. Started Detroit defense, nice. Jesse, what's going on, man? I have Gibbs and Monty on the same team. Should I sell high on Gibbs? Is Monty going to come back and take over? I would just keep both. I just keep both. I mean, like, there were points last year where I started Swift and Jamal Williams, and it didn't always work out, but it worked out a lot of the time. This offense looks far better with these 2 backs. I'd keep them both unless you get the right offer. Yeah, sometimes you just got to move on, bro. You know what it is. Would you trade JT for Dak and Kirk? Happy PR QBs were Cousins, Fields. RBs are ETN, Kamara, JT, Kyron. Got JJ, Olave, Pickens, Deontay, Dell. Hal is on waivers. That's interesting. I might do this trade because I think ETN and Kamara right now like get you through. Kyron coming back is fine. JT, a little bit banged up in this last game. Zach Moss still getting a lot of touches. Either move is fine. If you can get the trade done, I think it is okay for your roster. 6-2, yeah. I think you can. We're at the point where bad teams won't sell because they'd rather go down the ship instead of making your team better. That does happen. Tingley secured the dub. Let's go. Should I start for week 9? Carr or Hal? I mean, I don't want to start Derek Carr. I just don't. He does play the Bears at home, so like I guess you can. The Commanders at the Patriots feels like a trap. Maybe I do start Carr. Not like the Patriots defense has been good this year, but it still feels like a trap. I mean, Sam Howell is like, he's one of these guys you can throw out there on a week-to-week basis. He's a QB 8 in fantasy after this past week, which is his best performance of the year, 31 points. I think Howell's the upside play, but Carr is the better matchup. Would you trade Pollard to the ETN owner if you're playing him this week? Projected to win either way with a trade would make the odds closer. No. I mean, it depends on what you get back, I guess. No, don't help out your opponent for the week. Maybe. It depends on what you get back. Serious question. If you're a competing team in Dynasty with JJ on IR, are we entertaining selling or just hope they get some reasonable QB help? No, I wouldn't sell them unless you're like, if you're going to sell JJ in Dynasty, like you have to look back to the type of offers you would have gotten when the season started or before he got hurt this year. If you're not getting that, don't sell him because at some point in JJ's career, you will get that type of value back. So just don't sell him while he's too low. I just wouldn't do it. Unless you're like, you feel like you're like 1 or 2 pieces away from making a run for everything this year, championship, then maybe that's where you make the move. Devontae Adams still a must start. I don't quite think so, Spencer. He is still a tough player to bench. I don't know if I'm going to call him a must start. Yeah, tough to say. Raiders look awful. I agree. Is Goff worth keeping in a 1 QB league, or would you pick up Hal, Carr, Levis? I mean, you can pick up Hal, but Goff is still worth keeping. The game script tonight, I mean, the Raiders just could not stop the Lions running game. And, Goff threw that pick 6. Goff's going to have some of these games just due to the nature of this offense where things aren't giving him a high ceiling, but Carr is still startable on a week-to-week basis. I know the past 2 weeks haven't been good, though. Cole, what's going on, man? Second week this season where I lose by less than a point, 4-4 plus outscore the whole league by 200 points. I'm done with fantasy this season. Thanks for all the tips and help. I'm out. No problem, Cole. Don't give up, man. You're 4-4. You can still make the playoffs. Give it a break for the night, and we're here to help. But 4-4, I know it's frustrating, but you can still make the playoffs, man. Lions on bye. Yeah, I guess that doesn't help your situation. Ghost Hunter, wide receivers are Hill, Waddle, CD, Christian Kirk, Godwin down. Should I try to trade Godwin for our downs for Adams? Plenty of wide receiver depth as it is, and the way I see it, if he misses, not a big deal. Downs, yeah. I'd like to keep Godwin right now. Also, McLaurin. I mean, yeah, you're in a position where you can. If you can do a 1-for-1, sure. J-Dub says to buy low on Adams or Olave. I'm not really against that. At the right cost. Jack, you always end up with a bunch of non-droppable guys who aren't good enough to start. Yeah, it's tough. Flowers and Puka for Cup. Probably if you don't need depth. But yeah, I agree with J-Dubs here. We don't really know what's happening with Matthew Stafford. MRIs were negative, so he's day-to-day with the UCL sprain. So I don't really feel great about Brett Ripien at quarterback. So I might hold off on the trade for now. What do you think Leonard Fournette's role will be? What's up, Caleb? Not much, frankly. Like, he might get some involvement, but I really think he's just to replace Damon Harris's depth on the chart because he's dealing with that neck injury. So maybe some similar touches to what Latavius Murray was getting, but I'm not going to overreact. If you own James Cook, if you picked up Leonard Fournette, that's fine, but I wouldn't get too excited. Got 242 points in my Dynasty League. Let's go. All my opponent's players had their best week of the year except for Kelsey. My lineup is so far the best in points for the season. I'm just dead less than points against. It happens. Just at this point in the season, guys, keep setting the best possible lineup you can on a week-to-week basis. Hunter Henry trade talks getting hot in the rumor mill. Nice. I like me some Hunter Henry. I don't really ever like outside like that first season with New England. I don't really feel like he's ever been like truly utilized. So could be interesting. Is Swift and Cook for Eckler too much? I have Jones and White. Yeah, I'd say so. I'd say so. But I'm a big Swift fan. I mean, you have a top 15 back in Cook, and Swift after this past week comes in as the RB8. That's what I thought he was. So, like, I mean, it's probably fair, but I think I prefer the depth. As much as I like Eckler, it just kind of depends. Like, Eckler, Aaron Jones, White. I mean, I can get where you're at with having Swift, Cook, Jones, and White, but I think Swift and Cook on a week-to-week basis as opposed to Eckler, then like Jones or White, who are kind of question marks, a little bit better. Really hurting at quarterback. Thoughts on picking up Levis, dropping Love? I mean, the problem is, like, if you're really hurting at quarterback right now, you probably want to try and hold on, believe it or not, to a player like Love. So it depends on who else you can drop. But yeah, you should pick up Will Levis one way or another. Is Madison worth a stash this week? I imagine he could be since the Vikings lost Cousins. May look to start Jaren Hall and run the ball more. I think Madison is fine to roster right now on your bench. So for sure. Devontae Adams, Kupp, Puka, Higgins, my wide receivers didn't win this week. 6-2, please. Stafford isn't out long. Love his quarterback. Have Kyler on the bench. Should I drop him for Hal or Dak? You should, yeah. I mean, in this scenario, I would rather roster Sam Howell or Dak over Jordan Love for sure. I'm about to be 6-1-1. Is that a lock for the playoffs? It depends on the rest of the records in your league, but you're in a good spot for sure. Derek, catching up on the stream. No worries, man. Leaning Monty over most start just based on playoff schedule. Agree, it's very close. Super close there. Super close. But if you like Monty, stick with Monty. Thanks for the support. The unluckiness kind of killed the vibe for me, but you're the best on YouTube. Oh, appreciate you, bro. If I do win the league, I'm sending you the prize. Nah, man, you keep the prize to yourself. But I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Appreciate you, Cole. Kind words. 6, 5, and 3 teams in the Catch League 1. Yeah, that league is gonna be close all year long. Talks almost knocked me off this past week. I was actually surprised I won. Because they had Amon-Ra's projection like super high, and I mean it was a great matchup, but even then, I don't know, with the flu and everything going on, I was a little bit worried. Randy started 0-3 my home league. I've won 5 straight. Very nice. Had Gibbs and Amon-Ra versus Devontae tonight. There we go. Yeah, I had Devontae in like 1 or 2 leagues, needed him to do well. Then I had him against me in a lot of leagues. So I was like, we'll see what happens. I'm definitely a Swiftie. I said it all off season long before the Taylor Swift thing happened with Kelsey. Like that was my saying all year long in the off season with how much I loved DeAndre Swift going in the year. So go back and watch some of the mock drafts. I did declare myself a Swiftie, which should be done with Devontae. I mean, I don't think it's a good time to sell him, so I'd probably just hold. I don't think there's much you can do right now. Wait until he has another good game and then try. Literally streaming tight end next year. I've learned my lesson. Yeah. If you didn't get, I mean, I don't know. I still feel like if you got guys like Kittle or Goddard and even Waller to a degree, although he got banged up last week, you're probably okay. But if you didn't get like Andrews, Hawk, now Hawkinson's kind of a question mark, or of course Kelsey, you're in a rough spot. I mean, if you drafted Sam Laporta late or got him off waivers, it's one thing. Ingram's been fine, but yeah, it's just for me, like I just never spend high draft capital on a tight end. 10-man half PPR trade, Burrow and White for Bijan. What's up, Chase? Have Kyler and Fields on bench with Jacobs, Mondre, White for running backs. That's pretty risky at quarterback. We don't quite know exactly when Kyler is going to be back. We don't really know when Fields is going to be back. I mean, I think you're fine. Well, you'd be fine at running back if you did the trade because you get Bijan. You get Bijan, Jacobs, Mondre, but I think it's too risky at quarterback unless there's somebody looming on the waiver that you feel good about, but I don't think I'd trade Burrow. I don't think I'd do it. How gross is Kenneth Walker's schedule moving forward? I mean, it's pretty tough. I mean, Walker's been fine the past 2 weeks. He just hasn't found the end zone. He had 105 rushing yards in week 7 and 66 rushing yards last week. 8.2 yards per carry this past week against the Browns. He's been fine from a real life perspective. It's just been tough in fantasy. But yeah, Baltimore, Washington, Rams, San Francisco, Dallas, San Francisco, Philly, Tennessee, Pittsburgh to finish the year is pretty tough. But the volume will be there for Walker. It's kind of like Jacobs tonight. Still found the end zone against a really good Lions run defense. I'm not. I mean, Walker's still the RB5 after this past week. I'm not going to panic yet. If you own him, just due to volume alone, you continue to start him. McBride or Taysom Hill to replace Waller? See, the McBride situation is really tough for me because I do feel like with the change at quarterback, like maybe this uptick in volume that we just saw could go away. Taysom Hill is interesting because we saw Jawan Johnson come back this past week, but he only had 2 total targets. And Taysom Hill did all kinds of things. I'd probably just go Taysom Hill. But I do like McBride right now. But I'm also like, yeah, with the quarterback change for the Cardinals, whether it's Tune or Murray, I mean, I think if it's Kyler, he's fine. But still, quarterback tendencies can definitely change. Yeah, I'm not too worried about Kenneth Walker. Maybe the ceiling's capped, but I'm not too dumb. I'm in 11th place, 2-6. Am I done this year? It depends on the rest of the records across your league, but you can have 6 losses and still make it to the playoffs. So just try to win out. But yeah, if there are enough teams that have 4 losses, 5 losses, 6 losses, then no, you're not out. Where in drafts do you think Laporta will go next year? If he keeps up this pace, probably right around the Andrews area that we saw this past year and the year before. Would you offer Pittman and Mostert for Amon-Ra? Probably. For Amon-Ra, yeah. I still believe in Mostert, but probably. Okay, getting repeats in the chat. Let me scroll back down. Vincent, what's up, bro? McBride season, let's go. It's funny because I targeted him in a lot of dynasty leagues, and I was like, man, part of the season, I was like, I guess that was a mistake, but yeah. Maybe it is McBride season. Like I said, we just got to pay attention to the quarterback tendencies for Arizona. Good to see you, by the way, Vincent. Terry, I need to drop 3. Spears, Charles, Foreman, Ferguson, Madison, Watson, Sanders. Drop Sanders. Drop Ferguson if you don't need him. Then probably drop Foreman, I guess. Let's see. I don't know. I think Laporta could end up going pretty early next year, J-Dubs, if he ends up continuing this pace he's at. He's a tight end 5 right now, and his usage has been phenomenal. But you might be right. Maybe he goes closer to like that Goddard-ish area from this past year. All right. Traded Etienne for Gibbs and Waddle, then moved A.J. Brown for Lamar and Devonta. Did this week 4 right before A.J. Brown and Etienne went nuclear. It's worked out, though. Hey, as long as it's worked out, just don't think about it. If you're winning, that's all that matters. I also have Downs on the bench. Should he start over Kupp, Puka, or Adams? Also, Monty and Kyron injuries hurt this week. I had Brees and DeMarcado this week. I do like Brees the rest of the year. Yeah, once you get Monty and Kyron back, that's going to help a ton. And then you can even potentially flex Brees Hall as well. I don't know. Downs potentially is a guy that you can start here. If you feel good enough about it. I mean, he looked fine last week. Carolina's been pretty good against opposing wide receivers, but most of their pressure is going to be on Pittman. So, yeah, I think Downs is fine. Puka, Kupp really depend on the Stafford situation, though. All right, Joe, let me clear it up. I feel it's out in Stroud and Love on bench in one league and T-Law off this week in another with Love and Stroud on my bench. Should I grab Levis on both or stick with Stroud? Oh, I probably stick with Stroud. I think he's fine. But if you want to drop Love for Levis, I think that's okay as well. I still think Love will be okay floor play. I know it's been really rough the past 3 weeks now, so your trust issues, I get it. But yeah, if you want to go for the upside with Will Levis, I think that's fine. But I just want to remind you guys we have a really small sample size with Will Levis. But the opportunity is there. Quarterbacks are getting hurt left and right. You might want to take it now. McBride is elite talent equals fade proof. You know, I really liked McBride coming in this year, so I'm happy to see it for sure. Laporta, 3rd to 6th round, depending on league settings, number of teams. Fair enough. Yeah, maybe I'm too high. I was just like, yeah, he's going to go in the 2nd or 3rd round. Love too many young tight ends. I've been hyping up Brock Bowers of Georgia like crazy, but I'm also high on Mayer and Chiggy. Yeah, I still think Mayer with the right quarterback play, a little bit more time in the league, can be really good as well. Stick with Atlanta defense now that Kirk is gone, or go for Washington Raiders defense. So let's see here. Washington next week, it's the Pats. And the Pats have been okay. Raiders get the Giants. Danny Dimes coming back. Atlanta really disappointed this past week, so I might take the Raiders at home against the Giants. But I don't know. The Raiders look like trash tonight, so it might be better options. Spence, congrats on 15 months of being a member of the channel. Appreciate you, man. I won every single matchup this league. I'm in 9 leagues. Everybody, clap hand emojis in the chat for Spencer. Yay, Spencer. Dab emojis. Aaron Rodgers emojis. Congratulations, Spencer. We're very proud of you. That is pretty tough to do, though. Go 9-0 is kind of actually pretty crazy. Good stuff. Good to see you, Spence. What's up, dude? No problem, Joe. Falcons fan, drop San Francisco defense and play matchups. Can. I mean, I don't really know off the top of my head. I can check, though, if San Francisco's schedule's that great. There's still a defense 15, but Jacksonville, Tampa Bay, Seattle, Philly, Seattle, Arizona, Baltimore, Washington. There's only so many, like maybe against Tampa Bay, against Arizona, against Washington. But other than that, yeah, it's some tough matchups. So for me, I'm always for streaming defenses. So I think that's fine. Almost ready for mock season. I mean, we're halfway through the season. After this week, technically we are, but I can't believe it. It always flies by. It always does. Mock draft season, my favorite time of year, though. All right, let's see here, guys. I'm going to start wrapping up. I still have like a ton to do. I got to record a couple videos for the week. So start wrapping up the next couple minutes. So let me know if you guys need anything. And we'll start getting towards the end here. Najee or B-Rob this week? I mean, I don't know if I ever want to start Najee Harris again. He has a tough matchup. It's Thursday night. Sometimes you see defenses kind of falter on Thursday night. Sometimes you see offenses kind of falter. So I probably just go B-Rob. You know, tough matchup for Brian Robinson this past week against Philly. He did okay. He's just been okay lately, but he's actually still the RB9 in fantasy. I probably just roll with B-Rob. New England has not been very good against the position. I just don't know if I can roll Najee out there. He's been fine, a little bit better the last 2 weeks than B-Rob, but I don't really want to start running backs against Tennessee's defense. So I would just roll with Brian Robinson. All right, guys. So be sure to hit the like on the way out. Always enjoy hopping on here right after Monday night wraps up. Kind of recap the week with you guys. And just kind of get everything back in perspective as we approach the next week. But be sure to hit the like on the way out if you guys are new to the channel. Hope you guys enjoyed the stream. Be sure to subscribe on the way out if you guys did. And let's get into week 9. Like I said, I can't believe we're halfway into the season, guys. Have Ingram on bye. Who should I drop for tight end? I have Geno, Warren, Judy, Pierce. Is Dameon Pierce droppable? He might be. You can probably drop Geno. If you don't need Geno, I've dropped Geno in a couple leagues or picked up a different quarterback. I think you can get similar quarterback play off the waivers than what you're getting from Geno. So I think he's okay to drop. Unfortunately, that ceiling that we saw last year with Geno is just not quite there. He's only topped 16 fantasy points once this year. 16 or less points in every other game. So probably Geno. Najee off a bye is fantasy go. Too bad he's not always off a bye. Right. See you, J-Dubs. Got a ton of moves to make, but I don't want to drop who I have because they aren't bad players, just in bad situations. 6-2 in one league, 4-4 in another. It's a time of year where you got to make some tough decisions, man. The thing I always say this time of year is like if you're looking at a player and you're not starting them on a week-to-week basis because you don't have the confidence, like they're not part of your lineup. I know it's tough sometimes, but that's where you just need to drop them and just go like, what is my matchup for the week and what do I need for the week? Adams versus the Giants, Downs or Higgins? Yeah, this is tough. I might go Higgins. Because I see points in that game. He had a good enough game this past week. I think I go Higgins for now. Adams will have some opportunities against the Giants, though. See you later, Joe. Thoughts about Cup? We just need to really. It just depends on if Matthew Stafford's playing or not. If Stafford plays, I'll still start Cup. Lost 2 in a row because of him. Yeah, I know it's tough. I mean, it's similar to people asking about Adams right now. It's tough, but if Stafford plays, I'll probably still roll with Cup for now. I know it's hard though. Depends on who else you have. All right, guys. So that'll do it for the night. Thank you guys for coming through. Thank you guys for the fantasy questions, of course. And I'll be back on throughout the week. And if you guys need anything, just be sure to drop a comment on any of the videos tomorrow because I usually don't stream on Tuesdays. And other than that, I'll be back Wednesday night for sure. And of course, throw anything you guys need out on the Discord, get some community review. If I have time, I'll get back to you on Discord as well. But week 9 is here. Let's get ready. Going to be a great week. Let's get ready for some fantasy playoffs. Got Love, Henry, Pollard, Cup, Waddle, Smith, Ingram, Gibbs, Hollywood, Warren, Judy for my lineup. Thoughts of it rest of season. Probably want to address quarterback with the play we're getting out of Love right now. I think Henry and Pollard's fine. Cup, Waddle, Smith, fine. Ingram's fine. I mean, you are in a position where you can start Gibbs over Pollard if you want to. Hollywood is going to be flexible with Kyler coming down the road. He's already been flexible at points. But I still think for the most part, you're starting the right guys. Warren and Judy are just kind of meh to me. So quarterback is your biggest issue, in my opinion. Rest of your lineup looks pretty good. All right, man. Appreciate you guys. And I will talk to you guys soon. So love you guys, man. Love this community. Love the Catch fam. With that, I will say thank you guys so much for watching and or listening. And remember, you saw it here on the Catch. And